us in the family. My dad and I were walking, and I said, "Can I get a piece of pizza?" He said, "You already had lunch." And I said, "Well, you can afford it." And he said, "You're right. I can afford it. You, on the other hand, you know." And it was, looking back, it was one of the most humiliating moments of my life because I was like, "You're a doctor. You can get pizza and a hamburger." I mean, it was the spoiled white brat, right? And that I was privileged enough to have that experience as a kid and to have the parents who said that's not going to fly here. And I don't think if I wasn't raised the way I was, I mean everything. DJ, when I found out my privilege, I think it was then, and then in Public Allies, you know, really was a deep dive into experiencing all that. And for me, that's my argument. Some people don't know.
You're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. You are making a choice. You are making a choice not to know. If you walk through K through 12 in the United States of America, you knew and you made a choice to ignore it because it did not benefit you or serve you to acknowledge it. I cannot get down with the I did not know nonsense. Don't hand it to me.
Here's my question. When you do know, or when you're aware, because I'm super aware of my privilege and I love it.
Okay, honesty all day.
In Colombia, I live the privileged life and I love it. I have a maid. I'm an American. I have people who cook for me, clean for me. I pay for that shit. I have enough money to do whatever the fuck I want to do. And people love me more than they love other Colombians because I'm American. And it's so I have all of you actually can live this privilege actually because you all are in the box.
I'm trying to move.
But hold on a second. Hold on a second. But here's my question. So let's say you're using your privilege because I use my privilege. My bad, y'all. But when you're using your privilege, how do you recognize that your utilization of that exact privilege is somehow badly affecting someone else?
I guess that's my point.
I have privilege that I use that I know is badly affecting others.
Because the thing is like, what?
You acknowledge it.
No. Where do I go? Sorry, I get paid better than you. Because I'm American. High five. No, like what am I supposed to do?
That's the next question. That's the next question that I asked Lauren. When we got to the argument,
much more privileged than I am.
when we got to the argument on choice and knowing, then I got to what Patrice just said, which was, if I acknowledge this shit, then what? It impacts me negatively. So then it is, what are you asking me to do? Are you asking me not to take this job? Are you asking me not to have a maid? Are you asking me to hire somebody extra? What is my responsibility once I know I have privilege and I exercise it? And I think that is a question I'm willing to have a conversation about. But whether or not you know, get a life.
No,
I can't handle it.
I don't like implicit bias. It goes back to implicit bias. That government
What? I didn't understand. I'm sorry.
I just had a conversation today. I was sitting at a conference and there was a black lesbian woman and a white straight man and me. And we had a conversation and we could not get into it. He continuously talked about, I don't see race and race isn't a thing. And she and I really ping-ponged off each other. Well, race is a thing and it does exist. I mean, it talked about it and he talked about all lives matters and she said something about like, man, I gotta bang on my door because I was all about all lives matters. And then I had people had to educate me, right? So the whole conversation was until you really know, you don't have a conscious awareness. He said, people pull people over no matter what. I said, no, it's implicit bias. You might say, I'll pull him over because he looked scary. Why did he look scary? He didn't have, it was at a subconscious, a deep, visceral body memory level of, I've been told that black, big people are bad, right? But that's not in my conscious memory. I'm not running out there with that idea. Some people are, but some people aren't. And so I think we have to make space for what is unconscious, and it's not okay. I'm not letting anyone off the hook for that. But if that exists, when it DJ, luncheon consciousness for a conversation, but also privilege. But before that conversation, but if I don't know, so educate.
So you got privilege.
Hold on, not held accountable. Not held accountable.
Because that's what I kind of feel like that's where we're going is that. Well, I didn't know, so
not
until I become enlightened.
That's not what I'm saying.
Well, it sounds like Miriam's question is essentially, once we know we have privilege,
then what?
Where do we go
Then what do we
from
do?
there?
That's the question.
And I would say that there are two main things. One, you could educate yourself. There are plenty of books, plenty of articles, TV shows, what have you, that you can seek out instead of expecting other people to educate you. And instead of, again, sitting in your privilege and not going out of your way to actually try to learn more. Second, there are ways to use your privilege productively. Like, there's no use sitting around feeling guilty because you have some sort of privilege. But what you can do is find out how you can use it. For example, my family, we're kind of well off and everything. My parents could afford to send me to college. I'm not gonna go to college and then like be an iBanker or something like that. For me, I use that class privilege to then get an education that would allow me to teach others, and I plan on becoming a professor. You know, so there are ways to use your privilege in order to give back. And even if you don't have class privilege, there are other ways you can use it. Like, if you're white and if you see a black person getting harassed, you can pull out your cell phone and record the police officer or something like that. So educate yourself and find out how to use your privilege productively are the two main things that I would say people who have privilege can do in order to actually do something about it.
But Nife, see, I would challenge you a little bit on that. So with love now. You
Of
said
course.
go read a book, go watch a TV show, okay. But how, because I think we need to remember the human factor. So I remember when I first told my mentor that I identify as gender fluid trans. And my mentor told me, okay, I'm gonna go read a book, and I'm gonna go attend these sections, and now I'm gonna figure out how to talk to you. Great, except you didn't talk to me. So I think when we talk about the advocacy piece, when we talk about the community piece, when we talk about what we're gonna do, we need to remember the human factor. I think the challenge with privilege is, and when we're talking about tackling these systems, is that it dehumanizes us all, and we need to re-put the human back in. And I think it's not that I'm against the educating part, it's I have a problem when somebody's like, okay, I need to learn about Asian Americans, I'm gonna go read a book.
Well, no, it's true to say that talking to people is not also a form of educating yourself.
Yes, agreed. And I think it is a balance between like how do we make sure that the marginalized aren't always the learning experience, because that's what we see in higher education right now. That's what we see all the time. Like you'll learn at the expense of the marginalized. You do the walk privilege. Who's in the back? Oh, they know they're in the back.
Right.
Like, thank you for re-enlightening me. So it's just a slight challenge. I agree, but I think the part that's challenging is when we talk about the education piece, and I think this is where we're really reaching a tension point, is how do we educate that is both not at the expense of those who already are experiencing those things, and at the same time that's not like go read a book. Also because we gotta be careful about who's publishing those books, but